A designer based in Queensland has asked for some comment on the use of symbols in their drawing. For example, if we select this symbol here, it's one from our medium shrub series, and there actually is a problem with it, which we will fix in the next release of GCAD Plus. But notice how there's some very thick ends to the frond of what looks to represent some sort of tropical cycad or whatever. So well, it's not that at all. It's a tree fern, Dixonia. It's already logged and tagged with an entry in a plant database file. So it's representing a tree fern, a soft tree fern. I'd argue that, and he might argue that some of those lines in the fronds is a little too thick. So we can edit it. If we edit the block and just click here, can you see that if we look in the properties box, that's a millimetre thick, so it's being drawn with a very thick line. I would be inclined in this case to just say our line weight, which we know varies, let's just put it back to default and then close from there and see if that's improved the appearance. And I think that's reasonable as a symbol that's going to be used to indicate a Dixonia, a tree fern. Having done that, the tag is still there, even though we edited on the fly. Let's have a look at this symbol here, which is tagged to Cordyline Fruticosa rubra. And let's look at it in a similar way, because I noticed that if I pick back where we were, see the handle is in the center of the symbol. That's good because it enables us to rotate and size the symbol very easily, whereas this one here doesn't have a handle, and one has to ask why. So let's dive in and edit the block. So I'm inside the block now, and notice when I click here, there's a block inside a block. This one's called Cordyline rubra or rubra. So what we'll do is we'll explode that and then close the block editor. So the symbol consisted of a block within a block. So we haven't changed the tag or anything else. So now we can go in here and edit it again. That when I click here, it's just one of the fronds, if you like, of so let's do some little bit of editing in here. We might change the color of that. Let's change it. It's 242. I've got a little note here that, and when I was experimenting at 232, gives us close to that color, but just a bit of variation. And then I'll use the modify and match properties, and well, that's interesting too. And can you see as I move around, the cursor's jumping? I'll get back to that in a moment, but match properties, click, and then click and click. So we're just changing the color of these a little bit, and maybe even changing the fronds. Sometimes look a little bit curvaceous. Notice that there's a polyline in there to indicate a midrib, so I'll just move that back into position. So let's close the block editor now, and we've improved the appearance of it a little, but we still can't spin them around. Can you see that they're all inserted at the same angle? And I'd like to get some size and orientation variation. So let's come here and see if we can work out why. Maybe I'll close and go back to this one that we played with first, and I'll edit it, and I'll use the ID command. Just type it, hit enter, and click in here. And notice that it's at X of -25 and Y of 5. It's very close to 0, 0. So let's close. and we'll go back into the one we're trying to fix, and we'll edit it, and I'll scroll out a bit because I'll just experiment by drawing a line that starts at 0, 0, and you can see the result. So the base point of this symbol is well away from the point that we want the base point to be in the center. So what we can do, and we might get a rather surprising result, I'm going to move the center of this symbol to position 0, 0, and zoom extents, or I'll just close the block editor. And now the symbols appear to have disappeared. They have to be here somewhere, and we need to find them. And there they are. Because the base point has changed, and I'll see if I can grab hold of them and just move them where they were. And notice that I can only pick one at a time, so I need to change that to a plus. Holding the shift key down as I've inadvertently selected that one. Whoops, same again. So this is a little bit fiddly. Having grabbed those, I've only got 2 or 3 more to select. And having got them, now we can move them. Move, scroll out a little, and they live in that position. See how the cursor is jumping all over the place? GK Plus is hunting, and our designer wants to put them in that zone. Now when I scroll in, notice we've got a little change, but I can now pick the symbol and spin them around to easily get some variation in the group. So I hope that helps. This one here is a Mondo grass, so that would logically, I think, be under the rubra. And for mine, that cordyline looks a little bit big, so you can even jump in and change hang on a minute. It's inserted at a scale of what? 1.4. So you could go laboriously and change the size of all of these, or get in and edit the block and just scale it down. Click in the middle, come out here and go roughly 30 or 40% down and close the block editor. And can you see we've improved things? We can now pick them up, move them very, very easily, and arrange. We've now got a more organic look to that particular group. Now that cursor jumping around, we need to go and look at the object snap settings. And I would not advise you to work this way. Every snap is put on. That means as you're moving around, and you may have seen hints of it, it's looking for an end point or a midpoint, any of these. So I would not be bothering to have all of them on. I would take off things like quadrant of a circle, and intersect could stay on, nearest tangent, perpendicular, insertion point of a block, midpoint's useful, center is useful, node I'd take off. So I'd have a restricted set of symbols. So now when we go in here and we say move, you may be able to see our cursor is jumping a little, but it's more manageable and performance has improved. So there's some little hints that maybe help in manipulating symbols in GK Plus drawings.